Good morning, everyone. This is Bhavna Rajpoot, Assistant Professor, IIMT College of Law. Today, we are here for discussing a new topic regarding intermediary liabilities. First of all, the question is who is actually intermediaries? So, uh, here, due to paucity of the time and many other reasons, I certainly want to confine my topic related to social media as social networking intermediaries. First of all, I want to discuss who are the intermediary. When we, and I'm talking with reference to the internet intermediary. When we access the internet, there is a certain thing that connect us to the internet, and that are the person who are behind this uh, connection, who are working as a pipeline between us and the internet. And when we access the social networking website, so there is a person who is the owner of the social networking website. Like if we are talking about the Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. If we're talking about the X corporation, formerly known as Twitter, Elon Musk. So they are the person who are responsible for and who are the person behind these social networking websites. So the person who are working as a mediator between us and the internet content, we call them intermediate. So what intermediary do? They generally bring together or facilitate transaction between third parties of the internet. Who are the third parties? We users are the third parties. They give access, host, transmit, and index content, product, services. Like if we're talking about the selling and buying thing, generally we purchase new things from where? From Amazon. So Amazon is an intermediary who provide a platform to sell the things, where people can sell their things and we as a user buy the things. So we the platform that is connecting us, that which is connecting us, is Amazon. So we can call Amazon as an intermediary. Similarly, if we talk about the companies, we generally buy Airtel ka network, BSNL ka network, internet. We buy internet connection from particular company. These are also the intermediary. But specific for this study, we are talking about the internet content host. So this lecture primarily related to the social networking website. What is social networking website? The where we can express in general terms. So what is social networking websites? Websites or the platforms who connecting large amount of people to each other, like-minded people. So where they can connect to each other, their exchange their idea, they can represent, show their ideas. So this study is related to the social media intermediaries like the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp. And we are talking about the liability. Liability for what? We can see number of crime has been committed through social networking website. Like we can see the crime against children, cyber frauds, cyber ठगी जिन्हें बोला जाता है. There are so many kinds of crime that is happening by the a social networking website or by the internet. But in this case, I'm specifically talking about the social networking website. We see a small video from the Muzaffarnagar, a video clip that resulted in the riots in whole Muzaffarnagar. So a single video caused a grievous riots, a horrible experience to the India. So do they have any kind of responsibility what they are hosting? If there is a person who make a profile that resembles to another person and ask money on behalf of that another person, and the third party who think that this is the my friend, this is my known one, and transacts the money. So the presence of fake profiles, the presence of nude pictures, the presence for obscene material, who is actually responsible behind it? Definitely the user. But the people behind this platform, or those who are providing this platform, anyhow responsible. So in this lecture, we discuss about the intermediary liabilities. What are the intermediary liabilities? As we know that intermediary liabilities, social networking websites, these are the concepts who are governed by the Information Technology Act 2000, which was amended in 2008. So what is the relevancy of IT Act? It provides the validity and legalization to the e-commerce. It also provide the rules and regulation related to e-commerce website. It reduce the paper based transaction, and third is it penalize criminalize certain kinds of crime. So here article section 79 of IT Act, 79 of Information Technology Act provide intermediary liability. How they are why they are responsible. We have seen so many kind of content that can be taken as a illegal or harmful content that might be harmful to the children, like the obscene picture, child sexual abuse pictures. There are another type of thing, hate speech, fake speech, yeah, false speech. When someone circulating or spreading a misinformation, we have seen political parties are doing this, that they are supporting or manipulating the people's ideology with the manipulative misinformation, disinformation. So these are the things that need to be recognized, and who is actually responsible for the spreading of it. I know user is the responsible who are generating this type of content, but after the users, who is the next? What is the liability of the platform? Who is providing that platform? Who is hosting that content? This is a big question, and this question has been keep on asking by so many persons. So there are too many questions that is related to intermediary liability, that why intermediary targets the infringement lawsuits, or why it is necessary to fix any person's liability. First of all, we know internet is a place where thousands crores of people are there with their original name or with their manipulative names. And internet is a thing that is beyond the boundaries. People say it's a terra lenis thing, हाँ, जहाँ पे conflicts of jurisdiction होना बहुत आसान बात है. Because a thing that is harmful or that is illegal here in India might not be illegal in another country. So if something is that is written by here, generated by here, and published in another jurisdictions and another company, then a person can claim that this is a defamatory material and this is a obscene material. But me being an Indian say no, no, this is not a crime here in India. So in this situation, when there is a conflict in law, how the liability of intermediary can be fixed and how they are responsible. So they, because internet works in a terror analyst place, so these are the difficult questions to answer. And the second most was the conflicts of jurisdiction or the uh, uncertainty of crimes. The something that is crime here is not necessarily be crime another place. These are the things that need to be answers. The second thing, okay, why it is necessary to fix the liability, or why why it is so difficult. Internet is a place where there is no necessity that the person behind the particular thing is working with his name. He might be a bot, he might be a fabricated person, he might be working on another's behalf. So in this case, the tracing and finding out the real identity of the preparator is a very difficult situation. Because or the third thing, that a content that is published by a particular person can be shared by the thousands of people, so it generated a crime and crime again and again, then who will be the responsible for the crime? These are the difficult question to answer. There are so many cases in India that talks about the intermediary liability, because there are certainly a lot, and intermediary providing a platform to us, definitely, but they are somehow involving in an economic social growth of a country. So whenever we are trying to fix a liability or any kind of responsibility upon them, we have to be very cautious that by putting so much liability or authority law, we cannot bulldoze the entire industry. And however, we are living also in a communication era, so we cannot restrict them in a cell in a gas chamber. it is necessary that the liability we are imposing upon them should be proportionate and should be bare minimum to fix their accountability. So if we're talking about the IT Act, uh, Section 21W talks about the intermediary. So as per the Act, intermediary with respect to any particular electronic message means any person who on behalf of another person receives, store, transmits that message or provides service with respect to that message. This is the definition of intermediary, and this is the umbrella terms. It includes so many people like service provider, broadband provider, content host, cyber cafes, college library. It includes too many people. But as I previously said, this particular lesson is related to the social media networks liabilities, internet content host who provide platform to connect people with each other. So section 79 of IT Act provide exemption from the liability, third party content liability to the intermediary. It says that nothing withstanding anything contained in any law for timing in being in force, but subject to the provision of section 2(3), an intermediary shall not be liable for any third party information, data, or communication link hosted by him. This is the general uh, this is a general thing about the intermediary liability, that he will not be liable, he shall not be liable for any content which is posted by, which is transferred by third party. Matlab any person who is other than the intermediary. Third party bole to means user. And the what second the clause 2, subsection 2 of the similar section talks about the proviso. The function of the intermediary is limited to providing access to a communication system over which information made available by third party is transmitted or temporarily stored. The intermediary does not initiate the transmission, select the receiver of the transmission, select or modify the information contained in the transmission. Then definitely, as per the section 79, intermediary is not responsible for any third party content which is posted by any other person, like any other user. Intermediary is not responsible as long as he qualifies certain things. First of all, he is working as a mere conduit. Uh, Means he is not playing any kind of active role in the moderation and the curation of the content. He just what he's doing, he just temporarily store transmitted the condition on behalf of the third party. He's just providing a service on behalf of third party without doing any kind of manipulation, curation in the moderation in the document. And the second most important thing, that he is cautious, he's observed due diligence while discharging his duty. When he's performing his duty, he's cautious about anything that might cause a crime. So he's keep monitoring the things, that nothing on my platform can be amount to committing a crime. And the third proviso, if the third qualification for the exemption of the liability is that intermediary has not conspired or abated or aided, induced by, whether by threats or promise or otherwise, in commission of the unlawful act, and upon receiving actual knowledge or being notified by the appropriate government or its agency that any person, any information, data, communication link reside in or connected to a computer resource controlled by the intermediary is being used to commit the unlawful act, the intermediary fail to expeditiously remove, disable access to that material on that resource without vitiating the evidence in any matter. So, third clauses say intermediary to getting the exemption of the liability or to benefit of the liability exemption. Sorry, the third provision say to getting the benefit of this exemption, the intermediary should not conspire or abet it or edit with a third party, and he work immediately to remove that content if there is any content without his knowledge on the platform that can be said illegal or harmful or inappropriate. If there is a complaint content, and he actively remove that content, how? after receiving actual knowledge from behalf of notified government, court order, or by any certified agency. If he do these kind, if he perform these three functions, due diligence, he is not he is working as a mere candidate and not doing any kind of active participation in moderation, content moderation, manipulation, and curation, and he is working actively with taking care, caution, appropriate cautions, and removing the content by getting the actual knowledge, or he is not indulge any kind of abatement conspiracy, he will definitely get the benefit of this section 79, benefit of section 79. Why section 79 is so necessary? As I previously said, okay, who are the intermediary who actually are providing us a platform, whether it's about to buying a cell phone, buying a needle, to finding a soulmate, everything possible on internet. So somehow internet intermediary, internet content hosts, they gave us a new rise, new horizon to work. And if somehow putting them under so many liabilities, so many legal liabilities, legal consequence, definitely the growth of economic internet economy will drop down. So while fixing any kind of liability, we have to be cautious that liability should not be excessively risk that somehow bulldoze the entire industry. So that is why section 79 provided under the IT Act to provide them a exemption in certain cases. And if these exemptions are not fulfilled, and they are, then they cannot be qualified for the exemption, they had to be liable for the act and for the cause. So this section is not a special provision that incorporated in Indian law. This previously the US Community Decency Act, the section 230s already talk about the same kind of liability exemption. And there is a special thing about this section 79. So section 81 act to have overriding effect. We will definitely discuss this in a case law. Overriding effect is when this law has that supreme authority over the any other uh, legal consequence or over any other statute. So section 81 says the provision of this act shall have effect, notwithstanding anything inconsistent therewith contained in any other law for time being in force. Provided then nothing contained in this act shall restrict any person from exercising any right conferred under Copyright Act 1957 and the Patent Act 1977. So this exemption liability from the intermediary liability has override effect, has a supremacy effect over any other law. So now I would like to discuss the first case that somehow changed the dimension dynamics related to intermediary law in India. So uh, Avnish Bajaj versus State. In this case, Avnish Bajaj, a person who provided networking platform, a selling platform called eBay, and a clip that was related to a MMS, a sex MMS was listed on the platform eBay, and somehow it works as an intermediary between the buyer and the seller. So there was nothing that is directly was putting on the sale. There was a link that is provided by the seller. If you really want to buy up certain thing, you can click and uh, buy that particular thing. The platform would charge for the obscene content, the publishing, selling for the obscene content under section 292 A and 292 and 67 for the obscenity under IT Act. So in this case, the defendants say that there is no there is no case maintainable against them since the clip itself was not available on the website, and they follow the proper care and cautious. They immediately remove the clip while they were getting notified regarding the presence of particular clip. The court held, okay, if someone is the criminal law, the criminal liability is not only dependent on the overtake, it also include omission, illegal omission. When a company is somehow failed to apply, to operate necessary filters, necessary monitoring thing, so there should be a repercussion. Then we cannot say, in absence of required filter, company cannot be said to be cautious, or the company was taking proper due diligence. So in this case, the liability of Avnish was fixed for the uh, and the second thing that was defined in this case, the second argument by the defendant in this case was that Avnish Bajaj, the company was not impeded as a party in this case, and a company cannot impede for the legal liability. So in this case, the second thing that court observed, that when a company commits an offense under the act, every person who is in charge of the company at the time may be prosecuted. So in this case, Avnish Vijay was held liable in their personal capacity of as a managing director of the particular eBay website. So after the arrest of Avnish Bajaj, there was a debate that what was the fault of Avnish Bajaj, that he was providing a platform, and how his failure in applying appropriate filter led to arrest. Avnish Bajaj was a US citizen, so US was also interrupting the model in interrupting in the case proceeding. So after the Avnish Bajaj, after the amendment by the amendment 2008, intermediary liability was modified, and the new section we have discussed right now was the result of this Avnish Bajaj case. Later, Avnish Bajaj was acquitted in Anita Hada cases, and intermediary provision was developed, and the exemption has been provided to intermediary after the Anita Hada. So the next case is Sarut Babu Dikumati versus Government of NCT in Delhi. So Sarat Babu Digumati was also the managing director in the same company, same eBay Avnish Bajaj company, and after the acquittal of Avnish Bajaj, in all the cases, like in RT, in section 292A, 292B, and 292D, and 67A, 67C, Avnish Bajaj was acquitted in all the cases. Following the acquittal of Avnish Bajaj, Digumati was also approached to the Supreme Court against the decision of High Court. And in this case, the court held that since the complaint was filed prior to the substitution of Section 79, in this case, court clearly held that the word that is defined under Section 67 clearly said electronic record. And when we are talking about the electronic record, the section specifically need to deal by the IT Act. So in this case, Supreme Court uh, affirm or upheld the section 79, upheld the overriding effect of section 79, and said this section 79 being an exception provision conferred protection to the individual. Section 292 IPC make offense the sale of obscene book etc, but once the offense has any nexus, any clear nexus with the electronic report, the protection under provided under section 79 will prevail over any other law. The next case in this straw is Google India Private Limited versus Vishakha Industry. This case is also related to the defamation on internet. In this case, Supreme Court also provide that if any company that is indulged in any kind of conspiracy abatement against any particular person and had not removed the any suspicious matter within the reasonable time, company should be responsible as an intermediary for the defamatory post. And whether it's an internet or not, in relying on the judgment of Brian, the court said if the operator has power to remove the material, he would be responsible for the defamation. So this is for today. Thank you all.